Hi, my name is Efka, and this is my co-host, and we're here to present, no pun included's Game of the Year. Yes, much like the Michael Mann Awards for restaurants, the NPI GOTY is the pinnacle of board game excellence, the creme de la creme of cremes, the big cheese in the sky basting you in cardboard brilliance. Elaine, there's some red hot cardboard under these red hot curtains that I bought for a previous video, and they were so expensive we had to use them again. But today we have not one but two games of the year because we couldn't agree on which one was better. Why don't you reveal yours? Oh look, it's Undaunted Stalingrad. Thankfully, we have already reviewed it and we don't need you for this video anymore because people can go and watch that one. Oh yeah, my game is here. That's my game. This is II Guards of Atlantis, and if it's not better than every other game published last year, then it's at least better than Guards of Atlantis. You see, II Guards of Atlantis is a curiously titled sequel to a game we've reviewed all the way back when our videos looked like when your dad got a camera to record your 12th birthday. And you know what? This is pretty much the same game as the last one, except now there's more stuff in it. And also, much like Liberace's piano, the box is white, and that's how you know it's classy. So why am I talking about it? Well, because it's brilliant, that's why, and you should know about this game. Guards of Atlantis is here to do one thing, and that thing is to say, remember MOBAs? You know, the video game thing? Forget about it. It's basically like that, but a board game. Which is cool, okay? Each player takes on a character, like a sky pirate or a gladiator Doberman. And most of these characters are very good at one thing and rubbish at everything else. As the game progresses, your job is simple. Win by killing your opponents, sort of. And if you're good at that, you'll level up. Which is where you get to either be average at the things you were rubbish at, or really lean into that one thing you could already do well. And let me tell you, there is no way that that will go wrong. At the heart of Guards of Atlantis is the map, divided into multiple zones. On each team's side, did I mention this is a team game? Never mind, don't think about that right now, we'll talk about it later. On each team's side is your throne, and that over there, where the camera cuts it off, is your opponent's throne. Destroy your opponent's throne, and that's another way that you can win. Here's where it gets really tricky. The rest of the map is filled with battle zones. At any given point, there's only one active battle zone, much like England's high streets. That is where it is going down right now, and that's also where all the minions are. If at any point you kill all the enemy team minions, you winions that battle zone, meaning that the active battle zone moves one step closer towards your opponent's throne and all the minions reset to there. If you do that one more time, you will destroy the enemy throne and win. Which is the central conflict of II Guards of Atlantis. You have ruthless cutthroat fights pitting your heroes against enemy heroes, but then you also have to maintain your focus on killing enemy minions, because if you ignore that, then the enemy will kill your minions, push the lane, and then suddenly you have to run all the way back and defend your base before it's too late. Minions even fight themselves. At the end of each round, if you have less minions than your opponent in the battle zone, you lose more minions equal to the difference. Meaning that if you don't kill any of the minions, all your opponent has to do is kill one minion. And then you're on a cascading path towards bananas. That's a Minions joke for the young people, all good. And the balance between these two tension points is pitched so tight you can literally hear a pin drop anytime anyone plays a card. Talking of, step aside, Dr. Knizia, there's a new card game in town. Pew pew. This system just slaps. No, really, like, You play a card in this game and then Gods of Atlantis is so tightly wound, there's a small nation of mistakes baked into the card play. So each time you do play a card, you'll find yourself making about 5 of them. Coincidentally, you start the game with 5 cards, and whilst you do get new cards as you level up and your abilities do get better, you're still at the mercy of that number because each card you get replaces an existing one. You can never have more than 5. The 5 cards, that's a problem. Each round you are forced to play 4 of them. Each person picks a card and team members can discuss what they want to play, but only out loud so that others at the table can hear them. And then everyone simultaneously reveals their selection, meaning that it's not just your options that dwindle as the round goes on, but so does your defense. The real trick of II is that each card is loaded with options. One card can let you move, attack, defend, or do a special ability, and all of these elements have different values based on which card you've chosen, and it also determines your turn order, which in a game this precise can be the difference between losing and losing a little less embarrassingly. Let's say that I'm 4 spaces away from an enemy hero that I'd love to get closer to, and then on the next turn attack before the other enemy hero, which is right next to me and I love to get away from, attacks me and forces me to defend. My highest initiative card is Dread Razor, and if I play it, there is a good chance I will get to go first. But it's also one of my only 2 attack cards. On top of that, it only has a movement of 1. My other option is to play Shield of Decay, which has a movement of 3. Nice, but slightly lower initiative, low enough to make me doubt my timely escape. And on top of that, it is also my highest defense card, so if I do play it and don't go first in turn order, then I'm stuffed. Suddenly this choice to play 1 card becomes an impossibility minefield, which is exactly what you want in a good card game. You want your decisions to ask questions. If I do this, what will happen to me? And then what you want is about 4 or 5 plausible scenarios that you can gamble on. To complicate matters further, I did mention you get new cards when you level up. Each time you gain a level, you can select one of your defense, skill, or attack cards, and then you get a new one that you have to choose from 2. One will be a slightly better version of the one you had before, and the other one is totally different with a bunch of new values you have to evaluate. And the one you don't pick permanently increases a stat that's at the bottom of the card, which is yet another thing to consider. By this point, you're probably thinking, that's too much. And sort of, yeah, if you break it down like that, it is indeed a lot. But II wants you to make mistakes because mistakes create interesting game states. And this isn't my observation, this is literally what the designer is saying. Try things, fail, enjoy the terrible consequences. And really, losing is so easy. Like I mentioned before, the 2 win conditions are to either destroy your opponent's throne or kill enemy heroes. If you do kill one, they don't immediately disappear, they just reset at their own throne. But this is funny because it's like video games from the 80s. If your hero gets killed, you lose a life. And if you run out of lives, you lose. Very charming. Finally, the real meat of II. How do you kill a hero? Well, you have to attack them. And if you attack, they just die. No, really. Let's say I play a card that lets me attack for 5. Then the person who controls the hero that I am targeting has to discard a card with at least an equal defense value. If they haven't got one, then they immediately keel over. If they do have one, the card that they discard, they obviously can no longer use. And if you discard 2 cards in a round, on your 4th turn, you'll be doing nothing. And if you have no cards and someone attacks you, you just die, no questions asked. Which tunes this game to the rhythm of hubris and downfall. Your best attack cards are your best defense cards. Only 2 of your cards attack, and they often have a litany of conditions you must fulfill before you can even try and hit your opponent, such as being in precise positions, and also, once again, they are your best movement cards, so to get to a place where you can attack, you have to spend the card that lets you attack. And whilst you can talk shop with your teammates before you play the card, once you reveal it, all the tactics have to be done inside your brain without conferring. I mean, you can confer, but only with your brain, and your brain is too busy to work out how these cards actually work. Like this one, for example, Blink Strike says before the attack, move 2 spaces in a straight line for an enemy unit, target that unit. And you're like, aha, great, I can move to the attack. No. You already have to be next to the person that you want to attack. And then if you're next to the person and there's something in front of that person, you can't move through it. So the card does nothing. Brain, game, I did say that not a lot has changed between the first and second editions of the game, and I wasn't lying about that. I was just omitting all the things that did change. There's somewhat obviously mob box here with a frankly astounding 22 playable characters, new play modes, and chunky inserts to not hold all your cards in dedicated slots, because instead of having a lid for the cards, they live inside the lid. And obviously tip this box sideways and the cards are everywhere, but you don't even need to do that. Just taking this box up the stairs to the calyx makes the cards magically teleport in their seats. What has changed is ethos. II wants to be more approachable than its predecessor. Previously, when your character died, not only did they have to trudge back all the way from the throne to where the action is, but they also lost a turn, which tactically made sense, but on an emotional level, it was a punishment that was hard to recover from. Same goes for the 5 cards. Before you had a card that just said hold on it, and much like with an NFT, you felt swizzed because the card did nothing. And 2017 Efka must have been a really easy mark, because I was all like, oh, but having a hold card creates interesting tactical implications, like when do you deploy a card that does nothing? Yeah, real fun gameplay there. Now instead of a hold card, you get a card that is incredibly circumstantial. But hey, isn't that a lot more fun? Like if you can figure out a great time to use your terrible card for an advantage, that's a golden source feeling. I would be remiss to mention that whilst II is an intricate and complex game, the manual and also the included Tome of Mastery really tries to ease you into the experience. For example, it strongly encourages you to start with a truncated version of the game. Each module, and there's really a lot of them, is given a number of stars to indicate the complexity level, and there's a nice chart that says, don't play with X stars until you have Y games under your belt. Each hero is also given a complexity rating from 1 to 3 stars, and that isn't just nice, that's pretty much a necessity, because if you start with a 3-star character, you'll be like, my cards, they do nothing, because the text, I don't understand too much. But also each character has a summary card that explains what their strengths and weaknesses are, and crucially explains how their role works within the context of MOBA games. For example, this card tells me that Dodger the Warlock is an excellent pusher. And if I've never played MOBA games, I might start thinking I wandered into some illegal activity here. But one flip of the Tome of Mastery, and I can learn that a pusher is someone who is good at pushing Elaine, meaning they can effectively protect their own minions and destroy enemy ones, ensuring that the battle moves closer to your opponent's throne, pushing it. This is then further segmented into ability icons that describe the very specific things that a hero can do and what those mean within the context of the system. Making Gods of Atlantis not just a high complexity game, but a high complexity game that wants you to be good at it and understand its strategies. I sincerely wish more games would do that. And then from there we go into like a mid-review turnaround, except we're not calling it a mid-review turnaround because it's not a joke and it's been played out like half a decade ago. And then you say, sounds very exciting, now tell the good viewers watching that you lied and that this isn't actually your game of the year. And I'm like, wait, what? You know, and like coy, pretending that I don't know what's going on, but I actually do know what's going on. And then you're like, what is the caption on the thumbnail of the video? And I'm like, and then you're like really hammering it in. What is the caption on the thumbnail of the video? And I'm like, the best game you will never play? All right, from the top. Okay. This isn't my game of the year, even though I really like it. You know, like genuinely, I love this game so much in theory. In practice, it's virtually unplayable. Actually, it's the opposite of that. It's virtually playable, as in you're more likely to find online players to play on a virtual tabletop rather than convince your friends in the real world to give it a spin. So first up, it's a team game, which is a big no-no for about 50% of people watching, because team games are really frustrating for people who really like to win. And if they're paired up with someone with a more laissez-faire attitude, they'll end up eating the table. Next, it's a MOBA game, which the remaining 80% of the 50% genuinely don't care about. And you really have to care about this genre to enjoy it, because it's a remarkably elegant yet faithful emulation. Everything you love and hate about MOBAs is here. There's still 10% of you left, so let's get rid of you now. This game is available only through crowdfunding. Crowdfunding that has already happened, hence it being here now on our table. So if you missed that, you can't have it. Unless they launch a reprint campaign, which actually I think they are doing. Literally all of that would be fine, and in no way disqualify Gods of Atlantis from being my game of the year. If anything, a game that's specifically great for a niche is what games of the year are all about. Something that excels exactly at what it is doing, and the people who want it, well, they'll love it. But, we have reached the 1%, the very cream. And to you I say, are you not embarrassed by some of the artistic choices that publisher Wolf Designer opted for here? I get that some people can get past the sexist depiction of women that is as tired as the man-children gathering to fight in the comment section right now. Don't worry, they'll be removed. But there's also some other choices here that are as cumbersome as trying to teach a dog how to whistle. Dog whistle. What does that remind me of? So this is a playable character in a fantasy setting, but this uniform here, does it remind you of something? You could say that Sabina, that is the character's name, and the provided lore calls her a condottiere, giving her overall Italian cultural vibes, is just a dashing fashionista. Just someone who likes to look bossy, and is not meant to evoke any real-world imagery. But then what about this pasty buff man literally called Aryan? Okay, dog whistle jokes aside, this probably isn't intentional, right? Aryan the Tide Master? Gonna take a wild stab and guess that it's a pun on Ariel. So like Disney, but with some more accidental Uberman. Aryan is also one of Tolkien's Maya, and also the adjective to describe someone under the Aries star sign. So overall, not really bad, but you put this artwork, this uniform, this name together, what do you get? You get cringe. Tired, sad cringe. It doesn't make the game look good. And that's a problem, because if I have to get 3 friends together and say to them, hey, this is a team game and very intricate and brittle and unusual and unforgiving, but just give it a chance, okay? I promise. I might want to do that, but then if I have to say to them, oh, there's also this male gaze infantile artwork and potentially some fashy characters, they're gonna tell me to stop my game and go back to the basement, and I don't want to go back to the basement. That's where incels live. I know that the designer of II watches our channel, so to Artyom and any Gods of Atlantis fans, which I am very much one of, I know that you care about the setting of this game as much as I care about Downton Abbey. It exists because it has to, and so you tolerate it. But until you at least shape up your artwork, I can't give this the Game of the Year award. And I really wish I could. Yes, Elaine, that is indeed what I am doing, disqualifying my winner right at the finish line. I mean, why not? What better way to make a point and say, hey, we had enough of this tawdry approach to artwork and inclusivity, and if you don't step up your game, you won't get the biscuit. Biscuit being the Game of the Year award. Sorry, what is that? What is my actual biscuit of the year? Well, I'll default to your choice and say it's Undaunted Stalingrad, which is an excellent game, and also, if we weren't compromised, then would be appearing somewhere in this video. Reviews for these games will be now covering up Elaine's face, including a link to our Patreon, where if you enjoyed this video for some reason, or maybe our other videos, you can go there and give us money so that we can eat. You still need to eat, right? I think she does.